Air Force initiated tactical weapons effects tests on realistic limited war targets. High-performance aircraft were typical of those assigned to tactical strike forces. Forces which are ready to act immediately in potential limited war situations. During the weapons effects test, they attacked difficult air and ground targets flying at high speed to ensure their survival over well-defended battle areas. More than 20 target complexes were chosen or constructed to simulate the range of ground targets likely to be encountered in limited war anywhere in the world. Included was a simulated anti-aircraft missile site, patterned after those of Soviet design that were photographed in Cuba. Part of the test criteria was high-speed reconnaissance location of individual targets. Delivery time of developed negatives and blow-up prints for photo interpretation was comparable to operational pre-strike missions. Prints were delivered to simulated Air Force Army command elements in between 1 hour and 40 minutes and 2 hours. Test missions against aircraft and air support targets began early in January. First test with the F-105 high-speed 20mm Gatling gun was made against a radio-controlled jet fighter. High-explosive and armor-piercing incendiaries destroyed the fighter. F-100 Super Sabre was tested against a low-speed air target at 800 feet altitude. The attack aircraft destroyed a 13-foot radio-controlled simulated light plane flying at 180 miles an hour. With the jet fighter target, maximum range, low-altitude tests of the Sidewinder missile were performed by the F-104 starfighter. Evaluation of the Thunder Chief as a high-speed napalm delivery vehicle was made against part jet aircraft at a simulated forward area field. Test for strafing damage against part jet aircraft was made with the F-104's Gatling gun. F-105 was used to evaluate the high-velocity 5-inch Zuni rocket against typical airstrip targets. Napalm was tested for the first time against missile site-type guidance control bands, F-100s in low-level, high-speed attack. Against the simulated anti-aircraft missiles, Super Sabres tested the effectiveness of 20mm high-explosive incendiaries. 2.75-inch rockets with high explosive heads were tested against a maintenance tent area, fired from a Super Sabre. rocket's dispersal pattern provided lethal shrapnel damage and fire throughout work areas. A larger tent area where supplies would be stored in field conditions was attacked with napalm. High-speed F-84F Thunderstreaks accomplished this evaluation. High speed was an important criteria in the tests to assure aircraft survivability over presumably well-defended targets. A test for pilot skill and guidance accuracy with the Bullpup missile was conducted from a Super Sabre. Target was a concrete bunker. The instantaneous fused missile was launched at a slant range of 3.6 miles. The 250-pound warhead exploded on contact 25 feet from the aiming point. Results indicated that delayed action fusing is more effective for this type target. A command post bunker with 3-foot concrete walls was used to evaluate the Zuni rocket. F-100s were loaded with 8 Zunis equipped with penetrating heads. Direct hits were scored at slant ranges of 3,700 to 4,000 feet. In the next scene, a flat-nosed bomb with a delayed fuse bounces off a wall as an F-105 makes a follow-up attack on the command post. This test was successful. Earlier test runs with too shallow an angle of attack caused the bombs to skip over the target. Close-in ground support attacks on mortar positions were initiated by the F-104. 2.75 high-explosive rockets. Coverage was good. Damage included shrapnel hits on all test mannequins. Follow-up tests on other mortars used 2 F-84s releasing 3,000 pounds of napalm. Starfighters with 2.75 rockets made attacks on an artillery piece. Mixed loads were carried by 3 aircraft. Half high-explosive heads, half high-explosive anti-tank heads. One of the rockets knocked out the 90mm gun. Other hits were lethal for gun crews. A typical fuel dump was the test target for Gatling gun incendiaries fired by F-104s. Firing altitude was 800 feet. Capability of the Thunder Chief was evaluated against large area targets. The weapons load was 16 750-pound bombs for each airplane. of the F-105's Gatling gun. The effectiveness of high-performance aircraft against a low-flying helicopter was tested using a radio-controlled H-43A as a target. Attack speed was 460 miles per hour. One burst of 20-millimeter incendiaries from the F-105 destroyed the helicopter. The target to test the kill capability of the bullpup missile was a heavily armored tank. The bullpup was launched by an F-100 from a distance of 2.5 miles.